We just got back from vacation, checking out what is new on our house here. You can see the dumpster is moved, so the guys from Finney Trucking went ahead and finished the driveway. They're also back there right now. We will check on that in a little while. And the most obvious thing from the side of the house, you can see our garage doors are now in. So looking down the driveway, see the rest of that driveway, the crushed concrete is now in place, so that is complete. Let's go spin around the front of the house real quick, show you what that looks like. Not anything too different from the front of the house, just a couple small siding things to wrap up, a little bit of siding that needs to go right there in that location. Most of it though is the stone that just needs to be installed. That door still needs to go in there as well. All right, let's go swing around to the back of the house and I will show you what they are working on right now. Finney Trucking has did a great job on all of our excavating here at our house. And there you go, you can see the two septic tanks that are going in. First one's 1,000 gallon, second one is a 500 gallon. So they're going ahead putting those in and then going to be doing the field later on. So they went ahead, tapped that in through the foundation. We'll check that out in the basement, tying that into both those tanks, and they're hoping to have that done this week. They're going to go ahead, put in the field after they get done here, and then they will start going ahead and tossing the topsoil back around our house. So things will look a lot different in a little while here once all these big hills are not around our house any longer. And they will also be stopping and going to check out the pond, doing a little bit of that final grading, maybe stealing a little bit more of the sand that's around that side of the pond, bringing some of that sand to over here where our sidewalks will be. We'll need a little bit more in that area. So that's kind of what's going to be happening in the next week or two. It is coming up on 4th of July though, so they will be taking a vacation. Now we'll go ahead and pop into the house real quick. And not anything completely really obvious that you can see, but if you look up, you can see we have a lot of that textured knockdown finish on the ceiling that is all complete, and a lot of the mudding is also complete. And if we pop into our master bedroom, tray ceiling looks pretty well done too, and I noticed a little bit of this in here. So we have our blown-in insulation that is also up in the attic. So a lot of things that have happened, not really completely obvious, but we have this textured finish on our ceilings as well as in the closets. Not really anything new down there in the basement, just the hole that they drilled through and bored through for the septic field. And the garage area, again, are two new garage doors. So this will be a 2-car garage and the 1-car door over there. So it looks like that is all complete, all wired in, ready to go. And actually a big thing that we are waiting on right now is Consumers Energy to tie our electrical into the main. Pretty disappointed. Been many delays, a lot of hiccups, a lot of issues we've had with Consumers Energy hooking up the gas, and the main thing is our electric. So it's supposed to be done over a month ago, and I think we still have 2-3 weeks now for a new scheduled date before they go ahead and tie in our electrical. And that's what's kind of holding the house up right now. We're not able to run generators. We can't afford to run generators, especially with the gas prices right now, every single day to keep working moving forward. So we've had to tell our builder, let's hold off, work on what you can that doesn't require power here. A lot of this mudding and blown insulation, like you can see here, has been complete, but anything that really requires a lot of power is going to have to be put on hold until they get that tied in. So again, delaying our move-in date. Not sure how long that's going to delay things. But yeah, hopefully they get that power tied in the next couple of weeks, and then things will start really progressing fast again, because sitting out here In the garage is all of our tile for the floors here. So that's all underneath there. Jessica and I picked all those out. So that's going to be going in here in the laundry room, and all of our bathrooms, and our master bathroom, of course, as well. So that's the tile for out there. We still have to go ahead and pick the shower tile and tile for the kitchen, backsplash, that sorts of stuff. So up here in the upstairs again, knocked down in the closets and on the ceiling in this bathroom. Pretty well mudded. Not sure how many more coats they have to do. You can see they've circled a few of the imperfections that still need to be mudded and then sanded. And then they'll probably be going ahead and priming. Take a quick peek out the window. You can see down there the septic tank's going in. All right, I'm gonna go ahead. I need to go over to the other side of our property, spray the apple tree for the gypsy moths so that they stop eating the apple tree now. And then I will be flying the drone, giving you a little bit of an aerial view, as the last time I was out here right before we left. I did not have the drone with me. I didn't even have the GoPro with me. I was just filming on my iPhone a quick update before we left to see how things were. And then when we came back, how things were different. So let's go ahead, get that drone up in the air now, and then you'll be able to see what things look like from up there. Jumping into some of this video now. It's almost been a year at the time of me filming this voiceover from the time that I filmed this. Trying to get caught up on some video editing today. I think this is probably my third or fourth video that I did get edited today, so I'm trying to crank through them, and part of that being, as I announced in one of my previous videos, is that we are having a baby. We're going to be having a baby girl in the fall time frame, so try and get a lot of these house projects wrapped up so that when she is born, there is hopefully not much to do. We can just kind of relax and spend time with her. So right now you can see the guys from Finney Trucking going ahead, getting in those septic tanks. Also a little bit later on in this video, you'll be able to see the field go in. Really, really happy with the job and the work that they did. Highly recommend Finney Trucking for any of your excavation needs, as well as Mark Hammond at Forever Built Homes. You can check out the links in the description down below to them, as well as ways to contact them. But yeah, lots of stuff I need to get working on with the dams as well. I do have funding for a live camera to be installed at Smallwood Dam, so I actually have that sitting here right next to me. As soon as I'm done editing this video, I'm going to go ahead, get that configured, and then I'm able to get that out on site installed so that you guys can see a live view and update as to all the progress that is going on out there at Smallwood Dam. Great shot of the house up at 400 feet in altitude though. And you know, this is one of my favorite shots to get every time I'm out there. Flying up the driveway, just envisioning what the house would look like when it was complete. And it does look a lot better now when we actually have grass growing in front of it and some trees, landscaping finish being installed. There's going to be some exciting videos for you guys to watch coming up though. One of the big ones is installing an irrigation system large enough to cover 2.5 acres. I'm not sure of many residential sprinkler systems of this size, and it was very interesting to learn how to build. A lot of math involved doing flow calculations as well as the pressure drop, and that is all being pulled from our pond. We're in quite a drought this spring, so the pond got dropped probably about a foot below the high water level from this spring. And as you've seen from probably some of the other previous videos, we did have the water that was flowing across as the pond overflowed across our grass this spring. So that's a more recent video that I filmed and I'm working on editing, is installing an overflow tube from the pond back to the drainage ditch. So we used my dad's tractor again, dug that in. I think it was about 200 feet long. So next spring we shouldn't have any issues with water overflowing the pond and going across our grass. We also brought up the one side of our pond that was a little bit low, hauled in a little bit of dirt, and got that all reseeded. So that's a couple of the future projects that you guys can look forward to. But for now, enjoy me cranking through editing on these videos and hopefully releasing these every week or two. And then I also did just finish the dock out there on our pond. So I just got the decking down. Shed has been installed for a while. That's another future video, but I do need to go ahead now and get the dock as well as that shed stained. So I just keep thinking of more and more projects that I have filmed and I have yet to edit. So hopefully things will kind of start slowing down a little bit. I'll get a little bit more time to sit down and get these videos edited. The apple trees did survive though. They didn't produce any apples last year in 2022 in the fall. They ended up all falling off. But this year I was on it spraying that BT to keep all the gypsy moths or spongy moths, whatever you want to call them, off them. And it looks like we have quite a few apples that have so far survived. So hopefully we have a nice harvest this fall time frame. We'll fly back over here to the back side of the house. It's crazy to think back that this was a year ago that this was being installed, and now we have all nice green grass in this area. Let's jump back into some of the video on the ground now. I'm back out here the next day, and you can already see they're going ahead and tossing that topsoil back up here. You can't even see it right now, but underneath here is the entire septic field. Drywallers are working on doing a little bit more mudding on the inside. But you can see our tanks in the ground now. I'm going to go ahead and take some quick measurements of where these lids are, so in the future when we have these tanks pumped out, I can just go ahead and know my measurements off the side of the house and go from that. And yeah, here's a quick look at the field down there. Going to be covered up real soon. Inspection is all just wrapped up, so now they can go ahead and bury the field. And they said the only problem that we may have is this filter that comes right out of the end of this tank that goes into the field. That might be the only area that we actually have to clean. Other than that, if it's just myself and Jessica, they said maybe pump the tanks out every 5 years. When we have kids, maybe sooner. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, film this now. Like you can see here, this is where the pipe comes into this end. Another pipe that comes and connects these two tanks. So that's the 1,000 gallon, this is the 500 gallon. And then goes all the way down to that end and goes out there. Talking to the guy that actually does the inspections here, he said I think we'd get about 88% degradation in this tank by the time it comes over into this tank. Talking somewhere around the 95%. With the filter, I think it drops us down to 98% by the time it even goes out into the field. And he said, you know, you might want to add a little bit of that starter bacteria into the tanks since it's a brand new home, but after we go ahead and add that, we should be set. We shouldn't have to add it anymore. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and measure these out now, just for my personal preference of in the future if I ever have to redig these up again. I just went ahead and finished up filming where these lids are on these tanks in case we have to get those pumped out in the future. We are foregoing using risers on these. Just didn't want to have the giant green lid up inside our grass, so I'll have to dig for them in the future when we go ahead and get this pumped out. But they shouldn't be too hard to find with me measuring those now at this time. Just got done talking to them real quick, and you can see he's going ahead and tossing all that topsoil that was in the piles around our house up here. Looks like the field is ready to be covered up, so it should be about 6 inches of sand on top and then 6 inches of topsoil over that. So waiting to do that with the excavator right now, and then that topsoil can be spread across that as well. I did take a peek inside the tank real quick too and checked out that filter. I'll share a little bit of that video of that potential point that is where the most likely clog will happen.
So you got your guides on it.
Okay, so it kind of goes, yep.
So you can't screw it up.
And so everything goes in the bottom and then comes up and then out.
That's right, yep.
Okay.
So the water should never be higher than like right there in here. If the water's ever up here, you got a serious problem. This is probably bad.
And yeah, kind of just Looking at what we're going to do here with the back porch, we can't bring the grade all the way up to this because we need a certain elevation below the sill with the topsoil. So I'm thinking we might need one step here before we go up to the top. So it'd actually be 2 steps from the ground level. We'll have to look at that a little bit more and talk to our builder about that as well. But it's like a lot of grading happening over here on this side of the house. You can see all the topsoil that was thrown out of these piles up here this morning as well. And then these piles of clay that we had over here have been spread out now too. This clay actually came from an area down the road. Our excavating company had to dig out a field, so you know, we'll take all the free dirt we can get, and they put it right here. So that worked out really good. We'll need a little bit more sand up here where the sidewalk is going to be, and the sidewalk up to the front porch, so they'll be trucking that in and then grading that out as well. We'll take a quick walk out here to the pond. I know there's a lot of difference out here as well because all that sand that they're using up there on the septic field has came from out here. Might be able to see a little bit of it already, but they are going to be taking a little bit more of this sand as well, like I mentioned, for around the front of the house where that sidewalk area will be going. They're able to use the just regular dump truck. They don't need the off-road dump truck out here because the ground is pretty dry right now. We'll see if that holds up because we are supposed to be getting some rain overnight, so hopefully we don't get too much, that they're able to continue getting some progress done here tomorrow, and then it will be Thursday. So yeah, looks a lot different here. You can see all of that sand that they took out of here and used up there on the septic field. This is the area where we're going to be putting the shed there. And kind of talking this over a little bit more, what we're going to do is probably just continue a gradual grade to the water. I did want this to just kind of drop off really fast where the shelf was into the water, but we really don't know where this water level is going to land yet. Next spring it might be way up here. It could go out further, and if we use the water level right here and cut it into a shelf and the water recedes like it is right now in the summertime, then you're going to have bare land exposed, versus if you kind of do a nice gradual grade up to the water, you're able to continue to still mow around the pond, and you'll have that water can come up or go down. It can cover up the grass if we have a lot of water in the springtime, or it can recede and you can have some weeds and grass grow a little bit closer to the shore. So that's the plan that we're going to be going off from now. Looks like they have a little bit of sand in here yet that they might be able to steal as well, and we have quite a bit of topsoil out here yet, so hopefully we should have enough topsoil to cover all the clay and the sand up there. If not, we definitely have more areas on our property that we can take it from. We have that 30 feet along the edge of the field over there that we didn't have the farmer plant in case we needed to steal a little bit of that topsoil from there and use it up there by the house. So again, a ton of progress. I think I say that every single video, but a lot of work just happened from when Jessica and I left here yesterday, and they just had the septic tanks set. So after they go ahead, cover up that field, that entire area will be complete, and then it's just a matter of, you know, continuing to toss this topsoil up there, spread it around the house, and finish the shaping on this pond, and we'll be pretty close to the excavating complete. There will be a couple small things near the end of the project, just a little final grading on the driveway, maybe a little bit more grading after the sidewalk and the approaches get poured up there by the house. Just some of that kind of finishing touches. So, you know, make sure you go below, check out Finney Excavating. A link for them is in the description down below. Did a phenomenal job here. And our builder who is constructing us this house, Mark Hammond at Forever Built Homes. Really great quality work. We're really happy with both of these companies. So make sure you go ahead, check them out. Go over to their Facebook and web pages, leave them a like. And make sure you're subscribed to my channel. I have a lot more videos that we're going to be posting over the next couple months before we move in here. A lot of the finishing touches we will be putting on this house, so make sure you're subscribed. Here's a quick peek inside the house again real quick. Today is the final day of mudding and sanding. So tomorrow they will be going ahead and priming all the walls. Sure coming along fast. Jumping back to the drone video now, I will leave you guys with a little bit of the raw video as usual at the end of this video, showing you the guys here from Finney Trucking spreading out our topsoil on top of the sand and clay that's around our house. But for now, we'll take a quick drone ride out to the pond, show you guys that. Right at the time of me filming this with the drone, the water looked pretty crystal clear blue. Kind of interesting, this year in 2023, since the springtime, it has not been this blue color yet. It is just super turbid. You also notice that I put the canoe right there where that drain pipe was, coming from the catch basin so that no one ran that over. But yeah, I don't know why the pond is so turbid. I had the alkalinity checked, super near the top range of the alkalinity. I'm guessing it's all of the clay that is suspended in the water column from the erosion that is happening around the pond. I would have thought that we would have had more erosion last year than current day though. We do have a little bit of grass that is still filling in the Kentucky bluegrass around the edges of the pond. And when we do get some heavy rainfall, I am still noticing a couple of cuts from the water cutting into the clay. So that's got to be where the erosion is coming from, making the pond look super turbid. Hopefully after this year that stops though, because it doesn't look very appealing, doesn't look like you'd want to go swimming in there with how dirty it is. Since we still have erosion happening, there's not really anything that I can do though. I can put some flocculant in there. I might look at doing this next year to settle out that clay, but it would be pretty pointless to do right now at this time, because the next rainstorm we get, we would probably just get more suspended clay particles in the water column again, and it would look exactly the same. I was kind of curious of the alkalinity in the pond, and possibly may have added some lime to the pond, and that would have maybe helped settle it out a little bit. But since our pond is so on the upper end of the alkalinity, that is really not going to help. So that's kind of off the table. But yeah, here's another shot from the front of the house. Guys are covering up the septic field in the septic tank with our topsoil. And I think why they said that they were actually tossing this with the excavator was to keep the topsoil nice and fluffy, so that they weren't packing it down. They were kind of using, maybe it's a grater box on the front of the skid steer there to level it off, but they didn't want to use the bulldozer. Nope, not a grater box, just looks like the regular blade. Skid steer is definitely not as heavy as that bulldozer, so it doesn't compress the topsoil down as much. And our Kentucky bluegrass is growing pretty fast right now. I did notice that there is a little bit of perennial rye mixed in, so not sure why that is. I'm in discussion with the company that I purchased the Kentucky bluegrass from, because it was supposed to be 100% Kentucky bluegrass, just 5 or 6 different species. We really wanted that kind of finer texture. We have the sprinkler system to be able to water it, so it shouldn't have been an issue. And now we have perennial rye mixed in, so now we have some bunches of grass that look vastly different than the Kentucky bluegrass in color as well as in growth rate. And when we were in that drought, the perennial ryegrass was still green, whereas the Kentucky bluegrass went a little bit more dormant. So we had splotches, we had dots all over the yard, where the perennial ryegrass was still green and the Kentucky bluegrass was brown and dormant. So we'll see what's going to happen there. I'm not sure. I'm looking into a few selective herbicides that could potentially eliminate the perennial ryegrass and does not affect the Kentucky bluegrass. But I'm going to go ahead and stop talking. Like usual, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and leave any questions and comments you have down below. And now I'm going to leave you guys with a little bit of this raw video of tossing our topsoil and spreading out, doing some of the finishing grading around our house. Thanks for watching, and make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. Also, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next videos I will be posting, and leave your questions, comments, and suggestions below.